Good morning, classroom children. We are back again with our online class. Today is Monday, and as for the routine, you have your English paper too. And if you know, in our last online classes, we are using the Tempest, written by William Shakespeare, and we have already stepped into the last act of our play, that is Act 5 Scene 1. And it's a happy news that we are only with uh, one scene in the last act as we had in Act 4. So we are already in the first 1/4 of the completion of our Act 5 Scene 1, and that leaves us a small portion to cover to complete our play, The Tempest, that we started in our last session. Hope you all are fine at home and carrying on with your homeworks, assignments regularly. And to tell you, uh, I'm a little bit disheartened that many of you are not spending your time to watch the uploaded tutorial videos. Uh, Maybe that you're not serious in your studies, or you have taken it very lightly. Uh, but let me tell you, uh, those chapters uh, which have already been taught and is being taught will not be repeated when the school gets reopened, because this is already June, and we have minimum time with us left over that will help us to complete the remaining of the chapters. So once taught means they are already taught. There is no question that these chapters will be repeated when the school gets reopened. So I tell you very frankly that do watch all those tutorial videos, and uh, assign yourself to all the tasks which are being provided by your subject teachers, and be serious at your studies. Do not waste time. You are all at home, and uh, you everybody is using the cell, and also the computers, laptops. So make use of those classes being provided to you. These are with much hard work and pain that the teachers have done in providing you the classes through online. So uh, please view and also give a comment if there is a problem with you regarding the portions which you haven't understood, or you are with the doubts. uh, you try to interact with the subject teachers, and try your doubts be cleared, right? So now let us come back to our lesson and continue uh, the play, The Tempest, where we had left in our last online class. So we had reached to the place where we saw King Alonso and his team have now already come in the eyes of Prospero, right? And you saw how did Prospero try to reveal himself that he is not a spirit, but he is a living body, and he is the very Duke who was once driven out from his country, Milan, right? So here we saw King Alonso accepting the fact, and also uh, repenting on what guilt he had done in the past, and readily got agreed to give back or return the dukedom of Milan to Prospero, right? But you see the other two, Antonio and Sebastian, who are still with the doubt that whom they are seeing in front of them, real Prospero, they called him a spirit, and the spirit is talking to them, right? Prospero now required himself to show his real identity. So he asked his favorite spirit Ariel to go inside and bring back the hat and the rapier, right? Rapier is a long knife, right? That the European royals to carry in order to show that they are the kings, right? So Ariel goes inside the cave, and then within no time he returns carrying those hat and rapier, and Prospero asks Ariel to help him to put on this dukely robes, and here you saw Prosper also reminding Ariel that he would be given back his freedom as soon as possible. So Ariel singing a song which revealed his own description, where he lives, what he eats, how he flies, where he sleeps in the song. And then we saw real Prospero stands before King Alonso and his team, right? Now, uh, King Alonso hugged Prospero or embraced Prospero, and when he had embraced him, then you noticed uh, that King Alonso feels the heartbeat of Prospero, right? Now, when there is a heartbeat in a human, that means he is a human being, is not a spirit. So, Alonso now understood that he is a real Prospero, right? And here, towards the end of our last day's explanation, we were discussing that King Alonso had a loss in his life, and the loss in his life was his dear son Prince Ferdinand, right? And here Prosper also says that, or states that, King Alonso has a loss in him. Uh, here Prospero also has a loss in his life, right? Now, what loss does here Prospero speak of? Right, from here we have to continue, right? So let us now begin where we had paused last time. So here Prospero said, I rather think you have not sought for help. So here Prospero says that, King Alonso, I rather think that you haven't used uh, the power uh, to find out your own lost son. He had not utilized the full power of trying to find or locate his son, right? Of whose soft grace for the like loss I have her sovereign aid, and rest myself content. And he says this, that okay, even I am having the similar kind of loss like you have, right? Prospero said, right? Now what did Alonso remark? He says, you the like loss, that means you also have the similar loss. Your loss is like mine. How is it? What do you mean? He asked, right? Then Prospero says, as great to me as late. That means my loss is of a recent one. Of late means recent, current, latest. My loss is of the recent one, is of the latest, he says, right? And supportable to make the dear loss, and says that it's supportable to make the dear loss. Dear means grievous loss, very sorrowful loss, he says. Have I means much weaker than you may call to comfort you, for I have lost my daughter. Because he says that his loss is a permanent loss, because he has lost his daughter, right? Here Prospero said. So what loss here Prospero was talking about, that loss is his dear daughter, right? Who is Miranda, we know, right? Now Prospero told this to King Alonso. Alonso then says, a daughter? He is surprised, right? So he is surprised on seeing Prospero, that he is still alive, whom he had already taken that he was a long time ago killed, right? But he saw Prospero alive today. Now he is surprised the most on knowing that Prospero has even a daughter. So he says, a daughter, he says, oh heavens, that means, oh God, right? That they were living both in Naples. And he says that they were, that means I wish that my son Ferdinand and your daughter Miranda were living in Naples now, he said, right? He wished the king and queen there, as the king and queen there. So King Alonso wished here that, right, that Prince Ferdinand and Miranda were alive and they were living in Naples as king and queen, he said, right? That they were. I wish myself were murdered in that cozy bed where my son lies. And I, right, in place of my son Ferdinand, who is dead, drowned in the sea, right? I wish I was dead there in place of my son, and I lie dead there where my son lies dead. Right? When did you lose your daughter? Then pausing the expression what King Alonso was telling, he then asked Prospero, right? When did you lose your daughter? He asked. Since Prospero said my loss is of the recent one, is of the latest one, yeah, still then okay, King Alonso here asks, when did you lose your daughter? Prospero says, in this last tempest. That means I lost my daughter when there was the last storm in the sea, the tempest in the sea that caused shipwreck, where King Alonso and his team were traveling, right? In this last tempest, he said, I perceive these lords. I perceive means I suppose, I observe these lords, meaning Lord Antonio, Lord Sebastian, Lord Francisco, Lord Adrian. There are these lords. So I observe these lords at this encounter, that means at this meeting, when they have seen me, do so much admire, are so much amazed, they are fully amazed, they are completely surprised to see me, that they devour their reason. That means that they devour means that they have completely swallowed up their reasons. They could not believe themselves on seeing me, that they have swallowed every reason to know me, who am I. And scarce thing, their eyes do office of truth, and they are scarcely believing that what they are seeing is true. They are hardly believing what they are seeing is true, right? Their words are natural bred. That means they are speaking normally. They are normal in their talks. They are normal in their speech, right? But howsoever you have been jostled from your senses, but their senses are not in them, right? They are away from the senses, though they are talking to me, right? But their senses are not there with them, right? Know for certain, so I assure you, I guarantee you that I am Prospero, he said, right? So Prospero wanted these lords to come out from their uh, uh, abnormal sense and be normal as they are in the way how they are talking, right? And assure, right? They assure themselves that they are seeing the real Prospero. That Prospero is not a spirit. He is a real man. He is a real human being. And that very Duke, which was thrust forth of Milan, and I am the very Duke. My name is Prospero, and I am the very Duke who was driven out, who was thrown out of my dukedom Milan. Prospero said, right? Who most strangely upon this shore where you were wrecked was landed, and after I was driven out of my dukedom Milan, uh, mm, I was you can say landed here on this island where your ship got wrecked, right? Here he said, and after the ship got wrecked, you all have come to this shore. You all have come to this island where I have landed, right? To be the lord on it, and I became the king of this island. After I came to this island, I have become the lord of this island, right? No more yet of this. So he says, now let me not describe of how did I come to this island. He says, no, for it is a chronicle of day by day, not a relation for a breakfast. So he says, for it is a chronicle of day by day. That means he says that it is a long story to be told in installments. I cannot finish it, the story at one go, right? It takes a long time, right? Because the story, how did I come to this island, is a long story, right? So not a relation for a breakfast. So it is not a narrative. It is not a story to be told at the time when we sit to have our breakfast. That means the story, how did I come to this island, how did I reach to this island, is not a small story. It's not a short story which I can begin and end while having breakfast at the breakfast table, right? Nor befitting this first meeting, and it is not suiting to complete the story of my arrival to this island in this first meeting, right? I cannot complete beginning and ending my reaching to this island, right, story in just one meeting. It will take a long time for me to complete. So welcome, sir, right? He said to King Alonso, the cell is my cot, and then he showed his key. This is the house where I live. This is my administration, where I run my administration. Here have I few attendants, and in this place I have few workers. Attendants means my subordinates, my workers, my assistants, and subjects none abroad, and I don't have subjects, right, attendance outside this jurisdiction, right? So slightly here Prospero tried to hint Antonio as well as King Alonso, because when they outset Prospero from his dukedom, right, here Antonio tried to seek help from Naples, King Alonso, right, and King Alonso also helped the faulty Duke Antonio, right, being outside country Milan, right. So that was a pinch here Prospero perhaps is making to King Alonso and Antonio as well, right, that he has no relation built outside his jurisdiction. Whoever are his subjects, whoever are his attendants, they are in this island only, right. So see, pray you look in. So I request you to please see inside my cave. My dukedom, since you have given me again, so since you have given me back my dukedom, my country Milan, right, I'll requite you. So I'll repay you. Requite means repay. I'll return in the same way, right, with as good a thing. So a good thing that I would like to give it back to you too, right. At least bring forth the wonder to contain you. So at least this is going to bring you the wonderment. This is going to surprise you what gift I'm going to give back in return, right? As much as me, my dukedom, the way how I got surprised to get back my dukedom Milan, right? The similar way you'll be surprised to see what you see inside when you look into this cave. Here Prospero said to King Alonso. Here Prospero discovers Ferdinand and Miranda playing at chess, and then Prospero draws the curtain of the cave door, and then shows inside. Right? He shows Ferdinand and Miranda playing game. Right? The game is chess. Both of them are seated inside. Right? And they were playing chess. Right? And now these two are talking to each other. Right? Miranda says to Ferdinand, "Sweet lord, you play me false." So they are playing the game chess and also talking to each other. And then Miranda says to Ferdinand, Prince Ferdinand, "My dear darling, you play me false. That means you are deceiving me in this game. You are cheating me in this game, right?" Here Miranda lodged a complaint to Prince Ferdinand, right, who is an opponent playing with her. So she said, "My lord, my dear lord, you are deceiving me at this game. You are cheating me in this game." Then Ferdinand says, "No, my dearest love." And the other side, Ferdinand explains, "No, my dearest darling, I'm not deceiving you. I would not for the world. So even if I'm to get the whole world for myself, I will not deceive you. I'll not cheat you." Here Ferdinand said, in return to what Miranda said or lodged a complaint. So Ferdinand says here that, "No, my dearest love, no, my dearest darling, I would not deceive you even if I am to get the whole world for myself," he said. Which also means that how much love here Ferdinand has for Miranda, right? So even if he is going to conquer the whole world for himself, he would not cheat Miranda anytime, right? Then Miranda says, "Yes, for a score of kingdoms you would wrangle." Wrangle here means cheat or deceive. So she says, "For a score of kingdom," right? Score means 20, right? 20 units make one score. So here Miranda says, "Yes, right? If you get, right, 20 kingdoms for yourself, you will cheat me. And you are talking of the whole world for yourself, right? And I would call it fair play." And she says, "And my love for you is that even if you do this, right, I'll call it a fair play." Right here, Miranda says that yes, if you win or if you want uh, 20 kingdoms in your name, you will cheat me, right? And I would call it fair play, and you wish that I call it a fair play that you did. Here Miranda said. Then King Alonso, who is standing at the uh, door of this cave and looking at his own son, now says, and Miranda as well, now says, "If this prove a vision of the island, one dear son shall I twice lose." So what did he say? He says, if I'm seeing what I'm seeing now, which is genuine, which is authentic, which is real, right? That means I have lost one son twice, he said, right? Because the first son is son Ferdinand, who is lost in the sea, as he still believes, and now he sees a look-alike of his son, and he takes that right? It is perhaps an illusion. It is perhaps a figure that he is seeing of his son, right? So that's why here King Alonso said, right, if this prove a vision of this island, that means if it is just like the things that I saw in this island, right, coming and appearing and thereafter disappearing. So if this is one kind of it, so I have lost my son twice, he says. Then Sebastian, on seeing Ferdinand alive there, says what? A most high miracle. So he says, what a miracle, what a miracle sight, what I'm saying, what an extraordinary sight that I'm seeing now, he says, right? Then Ferdinand looked up and saw his father standing and looking at him, whom he supposed was dead in the wreck, right? Then Ferdinand comes forward. Coming forward, he says, what? Though the seas threaten, they are merciful. Now he feels, though the sea is dangerous, yet they are merciful, yet they are kind, he says, right? I have cursed them without cause. So I have cursed the seas without any reason. I said this and that, right? I spoke against the seas, right now, without any reason, because I thought that my son, my father was dead there in the sea. But in reality, my father is here. So I have unnecessarily cursed the sea, right? For no reason, he said. No. And he kneels before King Alonso. He comes forward and then kneels down before his father. Look at the respect, right, that he showed to his father. King Alonso said, now all the blessings of a glad father compass thee about. Right, compass means surround. Right, he says, now all the blessing of a happy father. I'm very happy as a father because I have got my son. Right, so surround ye about. So he blesses his son so that no evil and odd can bring any harm to his son now. Right, arise, and he says, now get up, rise, right, and say how thou camest here, and please tell how did you come here, right? He asks his son, right? Ferdinand then rises up, right? He stands. Miranda shows a surprise on seeing so many people, right? First she had seen only her father, her bearded father, and then she had seen Caliban as the other human, right? Since her sins came in her, right? Now she sees so many people around, right? Now what did Miranda say on seeing so many people? Miranda says, oh wonder, that means, oh wonderful to look at, right? She's so surprised. How many goodly creatures are there here? So how many goodly creatures? That means how many nice people are here, right? She says, these people are so nice. How beauteous mankind is, and how beautiful the race of men is, right? How beautiful the race of men is, because she had been accustomed to seeing her father, Caliban, right? And the animals around, right? Now she says the human being is very beautiful, right? Oh, brave new world. And she says, oh, new world is so beautiful. Now this is a new world because she sees so many people there, right? Oh, brave new world that has such people in it. And in this beautiful world, there are so many people living in it, right? Miranda shows her surprise in seeing so many people around. Prospero then says, it is new to thee. Now Prospero says to his daughter, it is a new world only for you. But for us, it's not. Because we know, right? There are so many people living around. We have seen the world, right? So Prospero says to his daughter, now this world is a new world only to you. Because you are seeing these people, right? After the sins has, you can say, after the sins has come to you. Now see, then King Alonso says, what is this maid with whom thou wast at play? Now King Alonso asks his son Ferdinand, who is this young lady with whom you are playing the chess? Right? So here father inquired, who is this young lady with whom you are playing the game? Your eldest acquaintance cannot be 3 hours. Your eldest acquaintance means your longest knowing to her may not be more than 3 hours since the time the ship got wrecked. Right? Here it tells, right? So it's been 3 hours gone by. The storm or the same tempest has hit the ship in the sea. Right? So King Alonso says, who is this young lady who was playing with you? Right? And I believe that your longest knowing to acquaintance with her cannot be more than 3 hours. Right? Is she the goddess that has served us and that has severed us? Now see here, is this the goddess right? Who has separated us, severed us. Severed means separated, right? So look at here. Even Ferdinand, on seeing Miranda for the first time, he said, "This perhaps is the goddess of this island, for which the music is played in the background." Do you remember? Right? And now Father also calls on seeing Miranda that this is the goddess, right? So you can imagine how beautiful is Miranda. She's goddess-like. She's perfect like a goddess, right? So King Alonso said, "Is this the goddess that has severed us, that has separated us, right, and brought us thus together, and now we are brought us together again, right? Is this the goddess of this island who has separated us and again brought us together?" Here Father Alonso asked Ferdinand. Ferdinand says, "She is mortal," right? Then Ferdinand says to his father, right, "My father, she is a human being. She is a mortal. She is not a goddess, right? She is a mortal. Mortal means human being, right? All humans are mortals because we are born and we receive death, right? But by immortal providence means the grace of God. By the grace of God, he says he's mine, right?" Now Ferdinand, um, told the feelings and truth to his father, right? "Father, this is a human being, right? And by the grace of God, now she is mine, right?" He said, "I chose her when I could not ask my father for his advice." And he says, "I chose her as my wife, right? When I could not ask my father for his advice, when my father was not there around, because I thought that my father is dead, right?" So at the same time, Ferdinand here asked an apology from his father, what decision he has voluntarily taken in his own life, right? So Ferdinand says, "I chose her as my wife when I could not ask my father for his advice because my father um, was dead. I thought, nor thought I had one, and even I didn't think that I have a father after that shipwreck, right? She is a daughter to this famous Duke of Milan." So he then introduced, she is the daughter of the famous Duke of Milan, whose name is Prospero, of whom so often I have heard renown, about whom I have heard, I have often heard about his, you can say, reputation, renown. Renown means reputation, name and fame. I have heard about Prospero so many times when I was in Naples, and today I'm very happy because I have met him, I have found him, right? So he told, "But never saw before." So I had never seen Prospero before in my life, right? When I had heard about his name and fame, right? "Of whom I have received a second life." And because of him, because of Prospero, I have received my second life, that I am here, right? Who perhaps was dead after that shipwreck. And second father, this lady makes him to me, and he is my second father, because this lady whom I have already chosen is my wife, right? Understand? Okay, so Prospero is her father, so which means that Miranda's father is also my father. He is my second father, here Ferdinand said, and asked an apology at the same time to his father, that without his father's uh, advice or consent, he has voluntarily taken a decision for his own life, right? Then King Alonso says, "I am hers," right? So is this a fight between father and son? No, right? Here King Alonso is telling, "I am hers" means I am also the father of hers. I am Miranda's father. If you call Prosper your second father, right? So I am also father to this young lady, Miranda, whom you have chosen as your wife. But oh, how oddly will it sound that I must ask my child's forgiveness." But he says, "But how oddly does it sound that I'm asking sorry from this small young lady, from this young lady," right? Here King Alonso said, "This is very odd to ask an apology." That means King Alonso has already repented on his guilt, right? The past mistake what he has done, and he has surrendered himself, right? That he is guilty, right? So King Alonso says, "How odd it sounds if I am to ask sorry from this young lady, because of which, right, their life, who are living in this island, completely disconnected from the rest of the world. The reason is, right, all I." And here King Alonso feels, and so he's ready to ask apology from this young lady as well. Prospero says, there, sir, stop. So Prospero interrupts, right, intervenes, and then stops King Alonso repenting on what the mistake he had. So he says, there, sir, uh, please seize it here, stop it here, right? Let us not burden our remembrances with a heaviness that is gone. And he says, let us not burden our remembrances. Our remembrances means our minds, right? With the sorrows of the past. The past is past. Let us forget this, right? Let us leave it today and think about tomorrow. Here Prospero told King Alonso. So he tried to, you can say, comfort King Alonso and his guilt, right? Who is very much feeling ashamed of his own guilt. So Prospero tried to release him from that guilt, from that burden. So here he says, there, sir, stop, right? Let us forget whatever happened in the past. The past is all gone now. Let us cease, let us bury those sorrows, right? He said. Gonzalo, who has been listening and also seeing everything that is going on in front of him, right? He now speaks. I have inwardly wept. That means I was weeping inwardly so far. That means I was crying within heart so far. So far, Gonzalo was not saying anything, right? Because he was unable to speak. He was crying within heart. So he says, I have inwardly wept. That means I was inwardly weeping, right? I was crying within my heart. Or should have spoke this, or I would have spoken before this, he said. So he told the reason why he was not able to speak. He was not able to speak because he was crying from inside. Right? So he was not able to speak. He was not able to say anything. Look down, you gods. And then he looks up in the sky and says, oh gods, please see us down. Please look down on earth. And on this couple drop a bliss crown. And on this couple, right, Ferdinand and Miranda, right, shower your blessings. Right now he said, for it is you that have chalked forward, because it is you who has chalked forward, means who has marked out, who has used the chalk to mark, right, the way which brought us hither, right? And so you have brought us the mark, right? And because of your marking, we are here together, right? You have brought us all together here, right? Here Gonzalo speaks. And then King Alonso says, I say, Amen, Gonzalo. And King Alonso joins in the prayer and then says that, I say Amen. That means, so be it. Whatever prayer you are praying, Gonzalo, so is my prayer. He says to Gonzalo, right? And then you will see Gonzalo speaking, right? Now what did he say? Gonzalo says, was Milan thrust from Milan that his issue should become kings of Naples? Now Gonzalo has a question. Now he is realizing all the past things. So he says, was Milan thrust from Milan? That means, was Prospero driven out from Milan? Was Prospero chased out from Milan, country Milan, that his issue, that means that his children, right, should become kings of Naples? Was that the reason that Prospero was driven out of his country? He was chased out of his country so that his children would also become not only the king of Milan but also of Naples. Was there a fear in the mind of King Alonso? So he chased Prospero out of Milan. Oh, rejoice. So he says, oh, let us rejoice. Let us be happy. Right? Beyond a common joy. That means to the extreme. Let us celebrate. Let us soar utter happiness. Right? And set it down with gold and lasting pillars. And let us write on the monuments. Right? Lasting pillars means permanent monuments which cannot be destroyed, which cannot be broken down. Let us write this on the pillars, permanent pillars. In one voice, single voice, did Claribel, her husband, find at Tunis? We found several things happening. We found several events taking place in just one voice, right? So what was that? First and foremost, Claribel. Who is Claribel? The daughter of King Alonso, who got married with the king of Tunis, right? So in one voice, we found several events has taken place, right? Did Claribel found her husband at Tunis, Africa, and Ferdinand, her brother, and Ferdinand, who is the brother of Claribel, has found a wife when he himself was lost in this island, right? Prospero has also found his dukedom. Prospero is dukedom. He has got back his country, Milan, in a poor island, living in this poor island. He has got back his dukedom, Milan now, right? And all of us ourselves, where no man was his own, right? And all of us ourselves, right, are back to normality, right? We found our own sanity. We all found our normality, right, when we have lost our own senses, right? Here Gonzalo said, right? So Gonzalo here accounted that, right, in a single voyage that they had taken, they found several events taking place, right? First, the daughter of King Alonso, Claribel, got married to the King of Tunis, and when returning from there, here Ferdinand, Claribel's brother, has found a wife in this island, right? Prospero, who is living in this poor island, has got back his lost dukedom, right? Country Milan, right? And we were all insane. We were all here abnormal, right? Lurching here, lurching there, going here, going there, searching for our friends, right? At last we found all ourselves, right? Insanity. We found all ourselves normal, right? So here is Gonzalo said. Then King Alonso said to Ferdinand and Miranda, he says, "Give me your hands," right? So he asks for the hands of Ferdinand's and Miranda's, right? The hands for approval, right, of their marriage. Let grief and sorrow still embrace his heart that doth not wish you joy. And here King Alonso seems a very happy father. So he asks the hands of Ferdinand and Miranda, and catching hold of their hands, he now says that the grief and sorrow still be there in that person's heart who does not wish you both, uh, you can say, with joy, right? Here King Alonso said. That means King Alonso has already agreed, he has already accepted, right, this proposal, the marriage between Ferdinand and Miranda. And so he says those are against this, right? That grief and sorrow still be with them, right? Here King Alonso said. Then Gonzalo says, "Be it so, Amen." So Gonzalo this time joins in the prayer and says that, right? I also equally join in the same prayer as you pray, King Alonso, O Holy Lord, right? I say Amen, he said. Enter Ariel with the master and bosun amazedly following. And this time we see the entrance of Ariel, right? Because Ariel was sent out, if you remember, right, with some work assigned by Prospero, right? And he is now seen returning with the shipmaster, bosun, and both of these are, right, very much surprised, right? Now what happens after these have arrived here, and what is still more to come, right? We still have some more portion of this act and scene to cover, so I hope we'll keep it for the next time. So please revise whatever being taught, and underline all those difficult words, and try to find yourself the simplest meaning of those difficult words, and keep revising. So stay safe and stay fine. Thank you.